morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, and this is the Breakfast Bankroll from East Coast sports investors from all around the globe here, Cape Cod to Cancun, Tampa to Taipei, Vegas to the Vatican. We got you covered from start to finish, from opening line to closing line, from steam to false steam. It is Monday, January 3rd. Myself and my co-host, Scott, will break down the NFL yesterday. Who's in, who's out. The playoff updates, Big Ben's swan song. AB going postal. A great day from the ECI VIPs. And what could have been an absolute amazing day, which I will go over in a second. So sit back, relax. Anyone watching or listening right now, do us a big favor. Run on over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Click the link, subscribe, tell a friend. Do the same on Twitch. And come join myself and Scott as we try to get you closer to the window and give you some education, not entertainment, and allow you to cash some tickets. How's that sound? And 2022, maybe a new beginning. That's what we're hoping. But anyways, without further ado, from the palm tree state himself, the man with the plan, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, good morning. How are you?
I am good, Jeff. How are you this morning?
You know, I'm going to go over what transpired yesterday in a quick nutshell. I had promised myself to limit the rants and vents in 2022. I will keep those to myself. It's going to be a year of positivity. It is what it is, and sometimes you have no control over it. Let go of the wheel and buckle up and enjoy the ride. Yesterday, the ECSI VIPs cashed on our Sunday action parlay. But there were three games that I really focused on. So I figured, why not? We had just come off a 3-0 sweep plus 3.33 units on Saturday. So I said, you know what? We're on a nice little run here. We're going to take a double shot. So what we did is our first parlay consisted of Arizona. We bought up to 8 minus 140 there. We had Baltimore bought up to 8 minus 140. And we had Seattle bought down to 6.5. And it was using $100 as your unit scale. It paid $414. And that parlay was never not covering. Okay. So now what we also did is I took a shot on a money line parlay. We had Seattle just to win minus 360. We had Arizona just to win at plus 240. We had the Ravens to win at plus 256. So I got a room full right before halftime. Ravens are up 10-0, Scott. And with the ball with 1:50 to go. And I turned to my friends and I says, guys, this is the game right here. Don't get cute. You got Hundley. You dominated the first half. Get out of here with a 10-0 lead. Be grateful. Regroup. And then bust your butts the next half. And you got a great possibility. And what does he do? He's got someone wide open. And if he leads them, it's a touchdown. It's 17-0. So I'm not venting then. Vastly underthrows the guy by 10 yards, picked off. And as I turn around and say, well, it's going to be 10-7 and Cooper Kupp's going to get a touchdown. And that's exactly what it was. And that's where the game was. It ends up 10-7 at halftime. They got a couple drives, a couple field goals. But the point was, we knew how this was going to end. And sure enough, OBJ, and I talked about OBJ on the show, catches a touchdown. And they got one last drive. So now you're hoping for the miracle Tucker from 50 plus, and he gets sacked, and the rest was over. But my point was, we really were within a whisker and had a great possibility. That parlay paid $1,444 for $100.
Well, isn't that the way they go?
Mhm.
I mean, it's just it's always that damn one game. And that's why, you see these guys on wherever they are, and they tout themselves as hitting all these things, and this is all horseshit.
Mhm.
So hats off. I mean, you hit the first one, and almost hit the second one. But what makes it fun is that's a hell of an entertaining and being in the game and having a great time and whatever you're doing with your pals and your buddies and your friends, and you're rooting it on, because the truth is there was some shitty shit to watch yesterday. I mean, you watch that Carolina New Orleans game. Who wants to do that shit? And if you bet on that game, oh my God. I mean, I get it. There's always these games you want to bet on, but at the same time, what the hell is that game all about? So it's an entertaining way to spend your Sunday afternoon. I can tell you that.
And there was some ugly, ugly games. I thought overall we had some great breakdowns. I'm going to just pull up yesterday. I had the favorites going 8-5-2. And you know, hats off to Carr in Vegas, stunner. And I'm going to use the word stunner there because we all had Indy again touted on that. What seed are they going to be? They were moving all in the right direction, and this was the perfect spot. Vegas still in it. Um, Talked about the Bears. The Giants had just mailed it in. If Judge, I'm shocked Judge is still there, but we'll get into that at some point. Um, we will talk more in depth about your Tampa Bay. Hats off to Tom. I will say hats off to Tom. He just found a way and muscled in for a win. That game was a loss. That game was a loss. Um, we'll talk about Antonio real quick. I don't think he deserves the stage, but we'll just leave it there. Buffalo depends on which side. Did you get the hook? Did you not get the hook? Atlanta, hats off. Dome team traveling to Buffalo in January never bodes well, but they were right on the number depending on what number you got. You talked about New Orleans, Carolina. That was paint dry. At length, I talked about that number frozen in Washington on 6. I've never seen it straight across the board, straight 6. Washington, hats off, great game. Philly finds a way to win. They did not cover, but they did cover on any parlay, and if you use them in money line parlays. Smoking Joe to Jamar Chase. I mean, God, this team, when you think about it, they take their first round pick, which they could have got the kid from Oregon, the offensive lineman, to protect Joe. Instead, they go and get Jamar Chase. So you think about this, Scotty. For 10 years now, we'll say 5 years, okay? Burrow to Chase to Higgins to Tyler Boyd with Mixon in the backfield. This team is going to be a very dangerous team moving forward. And they are, and I hope Joe's knee's okay. We'll get into that as well. Patriots get well. We knew that would happen. That got steamed on our show up to 17.5. I think they had that covered early in the second half. Miami, fake 6 wins in a row. Tennessee vaults to the number 1 seed. San Fran muscled through a miraculous cover, to be honest. Seattle puts up a 50 burger. The return of DK Metcalf. We talked about Baltimore and the Rams, and then to end it, Minnesota and Green Bay. I mean, anyone down money was looking for loans to get on Green Bay, and they covered box to wire, and the game sneaks over too. So, thoughts on yesterday, Scott?
Well, my thoughts were that some of these teams that needed to win didn't win, and some of these teams are now eliminated that I didn't think would be like the Cleveland Browns are now done, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are not. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers need a hell of a lot of help. So going into tonight's game, that creates some kind of weird thing going on there in that game. So I got some thoughts there, but I thought that Indianapolis Raider game was sort of a telling thing here. The Raiders aren't going away, and the Colts just don't seem to be able to. I don't know. The Colts don't seem to be able to get it done when they need to get it done. In those key games. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it is what it is. So that puts them in a little precarious position. Not that it's the biggest precarious position, because all they got to do is beat the Jaguars next week, and hell, they can probably do that with Frank Reich at quarterback. So, I think that it was kind of interesting. I like the idea that Cincinnati played such a good game against the Chiefs, because we all kind of thought the Chiefs were steamrolling now, and I like that Bengal team. I kind of liked them early. What I don't like is at the early part of the season, they were playing a lot of good defense, and now they're not. So we'll just have to see what that looks like and what the matchups look like for them as this weekend kind of comes to a close. But I'm a little disappointed in looking at this week's slate of games, where the teams that that need to win don't play nobody. I mean, the Colts play the Jaguars, for God's sakes. The Saints play the Falcons. The one that's the big game, there's two of them coming up. It's the 49ers and the Rams, and the Chargers and the Raiders, and those will be the games that matter. And as we get, and what's interesting is that I down here, we've had some issues with the Saints. And if the Rams beat the 49ers, which certainly could happen.
They've won the last 5, by the way.
And if the Rams beat them and the Saints take care of business against the Falcons, which they're the favorite. So if that were to happen, then it's a likely opportunity for the Buccaneers to have to face the Saints again.
A quick shout out to Marty Lowe, living the life. His Alabama Crimson Tide are in the national title game against Georgia. He sent us some great pictures from the Titans game yesterday, and I hope he won his fantasy championship as well. So good morning, Marty. Congrats on all, I hope. No, as you said, yeah, and they were talking about, they got 2 Saturday games, and then obviously they're trying to set up the primetime games, and for some God reason, they're putting in Dallas and Philly Saturday night as well. They're talking about implications and everything. Now Miami comes in. I don't have the what ifs in front of me right now, and I don't know if you do when it comes to seeding. I've talked till I'm blue in the face. You have a better opportunity of investing and wagering on teams that are more desperate, that must win, than versus seedings. Okay. And that's always been my rule of thumb. And kind of shame on us or people in general. Again, the Raiders were on life support. And I did say, hey, if they win both, I said yesterday, if they win both games, they're miraculously still in this. And again, the Niners.
If they win, they're in. If they beat the Chargers, they're in.
Exactly. And no one thought that they were going to beat the Colts, and they were 6.5. And then once is playing, it got steamed to 8. And you could tell early there. They came to play and they pulled it off. I just lost my train of thought there. So I was watching that game. We had all the games going on, but the obviously the one that caught my eye is, again, Kansas City punched Cincinnati a couple times in the mouth. But Cincinnati was able to hold on, and then second half, just get clicking. The Burrow to Chase combination was just insanity there. Looking ahead to next week, obviously the one thing that we do know is this: Green Bay again is the number 1 seed. You got to go through Lambeau Field. I've been trying to compare this, and correct me if I'm wrong here. Can we compare? I mean, I can go through memory lane here. 2 years ago, Green Bay in the NFC Championship, in San Fran and just got their butts torn apart. Last year, at home against the Bucks, had 3 opportunities to take the lead in the fourth quarter and didn't. Is this Rodgers' swan song? And I'm comparing it to Elway in this regards. He got there early, and now he's going to be the MVP this year of the league. Okay. And if I'm going to say this right now, if Mike Vrabel does not win Coach of the Year, they should never have this damn award again. After what he has done, he lost O. Henry. He hasn't had Julio all year. A.J. Brown's been in and out, and yet they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree with all of that, and what my fear about the Green Bay Packers is that NFC division is loaded with teams that'll beat you.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Packers. So right now, Packers are number 1 seed, and they've clinched the number 1 seed. They only have to play, and I think they play the Lions or somebody like that or something.
They do. They play the Lions.
And the Rodgers isn't even going to play in that game. That was what I would bet. So as you're looking at this stuff, the Rams are the number 2 seed, then the Buccaneers, then the Cowboys, then the Cardinals. And them teams have all won double-digit games. And then you got the 49ers and the Eagles. So that could change around here because the 49ers aren't necessarily going to beat the Rams. And if the Rams lose and the Buccaneers win, they drop a spot. What does that matter? I don't know if it matters or not. I just know that's going to happen. And I don't think that the Buccaneers are going to lose. They play the Panthers, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then the Rams actually have a game they got to play because the 49ers need to win that game. If they don't win that game, they're out. So I'm not sure how that's going to kind of play out there. But if you look at it from that perspective, and then you go, okay, the Rams get the Eagles, the Buccaneers get the 49ers, and the Cowboys get the Cardinals, all of those are great games, except for maybe the Eagles game, and that could be a pretty good game too. So when you start to think about it, then the Packers would get the lowest seeded team from all of those teams, and just assume that, say, the 49ers and the Eagles are out. They're all double-digit win teams. So sure, you get the bye and you get the rest of the week or whatever, but now you're going to end up playing the best of these teams. So the Packers have always had the issue when it comes to the playoffs that when they face the good teams, they seem to run into roadblocks. And I think that's what they're going to end up running into again. So I'm not sure who's even going to come out of this conference. I mean, I don't know. On the other side, you got Tennessee. They're in. They don't necessarily assured them. Well, I think maybe they did. They're not necessarily assured the number 1 seed yet.
No, they're 11-point favorites at Houston. So the deal is, if they win, they're the number 1 seed.
No question.
City is at Denver, and Kansas City is 10-point favorites as well. So if in other words, obviously, if Tennessee wins, they're the 1. I still think KC win and they hold on to number 2.
Yeah. What's the interesting in that division is that it's do the Chargers win or do the Raiders win, and are the Steelers even going to be relevant to make it that far? I mean, they got to beat the Browns tonight. Which I think is, the Browns don't have anything to play for. So they're going to, and Big Ben's his last home game probably. So there's a lot of sentimental stuff going on there. So it's just an interesting way to go in, but then you start to look at who's playing who and what these games are. I really thought the Eagles and Dallas game was going to matter, but it doesn't. The Eagles are in whether they lose or not. So they're in. So those games on Saturday, I think what is it? That's Dallas, Kansas City, and Denver. None of those games really matter. I mean, they might matter for seeding a little bit, but um, the Bucks won last year, and we're on the road every single week. So I mean, I don't know that really is the biggest ordeal at this point. So um, yeah, we can sit here and talk playoff scenarios probably this whole show, but I think that it's pretty simple. There's two games that really matter. It's the 49ers and the Rams, and it's the Chargers and the Raiders. Because I think the Colts beat the Jaguars, and that eliminates the Steelers and the Ravens. They're done. And then the Chargers and the Raiders, the winner of that game goes in. And then the 49ers and the Rams, if the Rams win, 49ers are out, then the Saints are in probably because they'll probably beat the Falcons.
Yeah, it's some quick look ahead lines. New Orleans 4.5 at Atlanta. San Fran. Rams opened at 6.5, now down to 5.5 against the 49ers. And the Chargers opened at 2.5, have been pushed to 3 at Vegas. So that's some of the look at. Dallas is 3-point favorites at Philly. And again, Kansas City is 9.5/10 at Denver. So I think a Kansas City win obviously puts some pressure. We've seen Houston pick a team or two off at home. So I'm not saying the Colts will have that will happen to Tennessee. I'm sorry. But you're right. So we're here. We're already 23 minutes in. Again, thank you to everyone watching and listening. If you're not following us on Twitter, go down to EC Sports Invest and Webby20MLB. On Twitter, follow us. We'll follow you back. Jump on over to YouTube and Twitch at East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe, turn the notifications on. Tell a friend or two, will you? The Cleveland-Pittsburgh game today, again, I'm a numbers guy. I could give two rats' ass about the logo in front and the names on the back. Period. End of discussion. Now you just got the sentimental part of this. You got the mental part of it. Cleveland's out. And it's Big Ben's last home game at Pittsburgh. So the number goes from, Cleveland as high as -3 earlier this week now to Pittsburgh -2.5. Everyone's on Pittsburgh and the Swan Song. 74% of the bets, 91% of the money now, all on Pittsburgh. Big Ben goes off last game with the win. I most likely, to be honest with you, I will not be partaking in this game. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think that Cleveland wins the game. I can't bet on Pittsburgh. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm betting it that way. My personal choice is to bet under 43. That's what I think is going to be the right way to go. My models come out, and it's the highest model score that I got is 23-20. So that's 43. And that's if they push everything on. And then when you start to put the influences of the game and the stuff in there, my model picks at 20-20. So it doesn't give me a winner. But I do like the under in this case. This is the Steelers, and they can't play offense, and they've been struggling on defense, especially against the run. So they're 31st against the run, and I think Cleveland, if they can run the football, which they can do with their running backs, I think that they hold the ball, and I think that makes it real hard because then Big Ben's got to try to win the game. And at this point, he might do better, like using a bowling motion to throw the football down, just rip it through this way, and then get it to where it needs to go. So I kind of like the idea that the Browns are the better team here, but it's hard because for some reason the Browns just didn't get there, and we can say it's Baker Mayfield or we can say it's whatever, but they're not, and Pittsburgh's still alive, and if Pittsburgh wins, they're still alive going into the last week. Now, I mean, they're on life support, but barely. The way I look at it is I don't really care how desperate Pittsburgh is. They just can't score. Their offense, if you're reliant on their offense to do anything, I think that puts you in a bad spot. So I think the game plan will be all about what can we do to keep the game close and limit the scores and keep the game down. I think it's going to be 20 degrees there tonight or something like that. So I think it's going to be cold. I think that not that neither one of these teams are used to. They're used to playing in the cold. So, but I still think that makes it hard on the players. So I'm playing that game, and I already did. I played it under 43.
64% of the tickets on the over, 51% of the money on the under. Opened at 41, now at 43.5 at Circa, Westgate, South Point. The online books at Drafts, WinBet, and a few others are keeping it at a 43 flat. I know it's tomorrow night, and I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Can you pull up your information on the bowl game?
Yeah, hang on one second. I'll get it right here.
It's the Texas Bowl. It's LSU, Kansas State, 9 p.m. Rotation number 285, 286. A game where LSU opened up at 2.5. Kansas State now 4.5 point favorites. 68% of the bets, 91% of the money, all on K-State. I guess Kelly in Vegas, Kelly Stewart. Dropping bags, Kelly. Dropping bags. Your Wildcats, 4.5 point favorites over the SEC. What do you see over there, Scott?
Well, just looking at looking from the guide here, I would have to look at the player opt-outs because I haven't looked at that, and that could be something to do with why Kansas State is getting the money here. But LSU won the last 2 games that they played to become bowl eligible, and one of those games they had to win was against Texas A&M. So that's a good football team, Texas A&M. So I get a little respect given to LSU for winning that game. They've got 3 quality wins. They beat Texas A&M, they beat Florida, and they beat Mississippi State. Even though they won their last 2, they are 3-4 in the last 7 games they played. So that means they were 1-5 at one point. Kansas State, they lost both of their last 2 games. And I don't like to bet on teams that lost both of their last 2 games coming into the bowl games. They played Texas and Baylor, and we saw Baylor, and Baylor's a pretty good football team. I'm not so sure Texas is the greatest football team, but they lost to Texas. They've only got 1 quality win, Jeff. Kansas State, the only quality win they have is West Virginia, and I wouldn't even call that a quality win, to be honest. The strength of schedule here favors LSU by a lot. Both teams on offense have a little bit of an edge, but the quarterback pressures in Kansas State should be able to put a little more pressure on the quarterback. My model likes LSU by 3 here. And made a note here, when LSU loses, they score less than 20 points. So I don't think they're going to score less than 20 points against Kansas State. So, and when they lose, they have big loss margins. They lose by 10 or they lose by, an average of 10 points. When K-State loses, their average of 9 points of margin. So I can see LSU or Kansas State kind of winning, but that means to me LSU is live as a dog, and I like the idea here that I would be probably depending on what's going on with these player opt-outs. I think I'm going to be on the SEC side of this game.
I've been charting the flips due to COVID, due to coaches, due to opt-outs, and the flips have been doing real good, meaning the team that it's flipped to has been winning and cover. So I'm going to keep an eye on that as well as this goes overnight and into tomorrow. The reason I kind of put you on the spot and asking you now, it sounds like we could have a guest tomorrow morning, a good friend of ours from Vegas, Mr. Dave Sharapan, has checked in and is trying to say Happy New Year to the ECSI family, and is going to try to spare us some time tomorrow morning with us. So I wanted to get your take initially on the LSU Kansas State game, and to see if you saw anything of what your numbers were saying.
I just don't like one of the things that I think is key in these bowl games is I don't you got to have a reason to go play. And if you've lost the last two games going in, you're already downtrodden. This seems to be more of a let's get ready for next year kind of game, and it seems to be one of those celebratory type things for the season. And when you have one quality win, and that only win is against West Virginia, I don't think the level of competition is the same. So it just worries me that these people, I shouldn't say these people, I don't know, who cares? It just worries me that the betting numbers are going to the side of Kansas State. So that tends for me to believe there's a cause for that. But I haven't really looked at that part of it yet.
I'm going to close with this, Mr. Scott. The state of the Bucks. Now, last year at this point in time,
you were rolling.
You were rolling. Again, you played some grab ass early season. You got to the bye week. You won the last 5 games to end the year. And then, go to Washington, go to the Saints, go to Lambeau, and then beat up on the Chiefs. The injuries. You got Mike Evans back yesterday. The outburst on Antonio, and I guess it was all money related, and it was catch incentives, touchdown incentives, and yada yada yada. And part of me wants to say that he forgot that they had a game next week. I don't know, but I won't even give him that much credit. Now coming out that he was hurt, he told coach he was hurt, and then coach told him to go take a powder. I have no idea, but this is not the same Bucks team that was rolling last year. And you talked about the landmines in the NFC. A team I talked about till I was blue in the face in August and September, was eating crow for most of the year, was the Niners. Winning they're in, and they got a team that's dangerous. Now the downfall is Trey Lance ain't going to take him to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. He's not going to do it. He's not Kaepernick. He's not Michael Vick. He's just not ready. Jimmy G maybe miraculously could get ready. I don't know. I think at this point, I would have to say, unfortunately, the Packers are destined at this point, as much as that I despise to say that. The Rams could do it. I think the Rams got the defense, Sony Michel rounding into form, just Stafford on that big stage. I think he has some good games, and I think he can lay that clunker. Arizona just keeps winning on the road. And I talked to you yesterday, talked to Pops in LA on Monday and Thursday. The value on the Cardinals, and the fact that the public remembers what they saw last, and Dak and company putting up 56 against Washington. You knew right away that game was ripe for Arizona watching that game. And Murray still wasn't great. But just give us the state of the union, the temperature, and the thoughts from last year going into the playoffs to where you guys are right now.
Well, last year was a little interesting because, when was the last time Tampa Bay was in the playoffs to the degree in which that they had opportunities to actually win the Super Bowl. So it was an exciting time last year. It was, are they going to do it? Are they going to win this game? Are they going to go on the road and win that game? Are they going to go here and win this game? And then they did all of those things. And then they get to the Super Bowl, and it's like, holy shit, now they got to beat the Chiefs. Well, they did. And the issue with some of that stuff was that the defense was unrelenting last year. And then they made some key maneuvers and got some players back. Vita Vea didn't even play last year for the Bucs. So they get him in there, and holy crap, that guy's a monster. But this season has been one where I think that rule applies, that when you're the best team and you're the Super Bowl winning team, when you go play another team, they give you their best shot every day, every week. And you can see it in the Jets game yesterday. So because that's their Super Bowl. And I'm going to caution everyone because I just pulled up the team tiers and looking at the metrics that I use in a lot of stuff on EPA. The Bucks are right there. They're not like also rans in this thing, and I get it that they don't look good sometimes, and all of that stuff. And I'm not going to go out here and tell you that when they go play in the playoffs that they're going to turn on this light switch and be this magnificent football team. However, if they get things rolling correctly, and it's possible that can happen, and you got Tom at the headquarters here, so and I'm not saying he's the greatest quarterback that is playing in today's football, but he's a great leader of these guys, and they all buy into that guy. Whatever he says, they listen. And I'm just looking at the numbers here, and there are a couple of defenses better than them. And they're listing the Saints, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Cardinals, and the Patriots. Those are the better defenses than what the Bucks are. But nobody else is better. And then when you look at the offenses, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and then the Chiefs. So they still match up pretty good to any team. And I get it that they're hurt and they've been banged up and they lost some of their wideouts and they got some stuff that's going on there. But I think they did the right thing in getting rid of Brown and the turmoil and the problems and whatever. They find ways and they have some good players. And I think that this is a team that's going to be possibly overlooked as Super Bowl champions coming in, because I think people are going to talk about Green Bay and the Rams and the 49ers and some of these other teams. And I just think that I think ultimately this is going to be the Bucks and the Packers, and whoever wins that game is going to win.
No, I can definitely see that. Might see an upset here or there early. It's a different tone. Listen, I for 2 decades I watched Tom muscle through this stuff, and it's just next man up. It's next man up. But what have noticed the last couple of weeks is that his whining tirades and you ran the wrong route. What are you doing? It's starting to show. And listen, the other thing too, unfortunately, is and I go again. I know you did it last year, but it's another year older now, and you're going in different directions. It's the fact that you don't have that bye week. You're in again. It's box to wire, winning in, or get ready for next year. And depending upon the seedings, you could get a 49er team coming in. You could get again. I don't think you'd have an Arizona coming in. Maybe it's the Eagles, or whatever it is. But my point is, it used to be this with Tom in New England. Number 1 seed, bye week. In comes a tomato can where you're double-digit favorites. You maul them, and who's going to be standing to face you in the championship game? That's the way it used to be. They literally had 1 game to win, and they were hosting it. And it's usually snowing. It's 10 degrees, crowd going crazy, throwing snowballs, and it's a festive atmosphere. Now time has changed, and I think you're going to find out at the end of the year how much turmoil is really going on. And the fact that Arians and Tom have been butting heads, no pun intended, all year long. And now, he goes to bat for AB. And then, he's on the stage at the presser yesterday kind of saying, hey, guys, let's not knock him while he's down. He needs help. And playing that card. And it's going to be interesting. I just, for some reason, I got Elway in the later stage, the second round, and Rodgers now, and this is their time. And I don't believe in this Packer team. I just, for 17 weeks, don't understand how Devontae Adams gets so wide open. He's not Jerry Rice. And I'm not saying he's not a great player. It just baffles me because he doesn't have great weapons. He doesn't have that elite tight end. Everyone talked about Aaron Jones. They rely more on A.J. Dillon right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense, it's not that defense from way back, but this team just keeps winning and winning and winning. And listen, I just think they're overdue to get to the championship game. I mean, we were already anointing the Chiefs there. Now they might have to go on the road. Listen, the Chiefs just got out muscled. Do I think the Chiefs will still be standing? Yeah, I do. They'll be favored in every playoff game. If they had to go to Tennessee in the championship game, KC will be 2.5, 3.5 point favorites. So I'm not worried there. And now the Bills are back into play. So I just think if I had to throw a future on, I'm not a chalk player. But I just think that by default, I'm going to use the word default, the Packers will be standing.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree that the Packers are going to. I think the Packers will be there at the end, and I'm hoping that they play the Bucs. That's who I'm hoping that they play. Now, having said all that, I just pulled it up to qualify what I was going to say. Green Bay is ninth toughest schedule of the NFL. And that's saying a little bit because of the division that they play in. I mean, they're playing with Minnesota and the Vikings and stuff. So, and the Lions and, the Bears. So, I mean, that means they played some of the tougher teams out there to get there. But Kansas City, Tampa Bay, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Cowboys all played tougher schedules than what Green Bay did. So these things where we look at Green Bay and we say, hey, these guys are on a run and they've been winning. Well, they play Detroit this coming week. They beat Minnesota without a quarterback. They played Cleveland and barely beat Cleveland the week before. They barely beat Baltimore without their quarterback. They had to score 45 points against the Bears to beat the Bears. They beat the Rams 36-28. Then they got beat by Minnesota. They played Seattle. So I mean, so going back through that list, you got the Rams as the best team that they've played in, I don't know, a month and a half.
Are we calling the Packers the Dolphins?
I don't know if I'm calling them the Dolphins, but look at these close games that when they played tough teams, like they played Arizona, they beat them 24-21. They played Kansas City already. They got beat 7-13. They only scored 7 points. They played the Rams, beat the Rams 36-28. Trying to see who else they played. They played the 49ers, beat them 30-28. They played Cincinnati, beat them 25-22. This is like, that's why we don't sit here and go, we love the Packers. Because when the Packers win a game, they win by 2 points. They win by 3 points. They're not beating the crap out of anybody. So the numbers that I'm looking at don't necessarily indicate that they're the best team in the NFC right now. The numbers actually show that the Tampa Bay is, but I'm watching Tampa Bay and I don't believe that shit. So,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so they're on par with, so the way these numbers look, Tampa Bay's number 1, Arizona, Green Bay is like 2 and 3, then the Rams, and then then the Cowboys, then the Rams, and then the 49ers are kind of in that mix of where they're at here with the numbers say 49ers, Colts, Bengals, Eagles, all about the same team.
And the other thing that will be positive, and I didn't even bring this one up, is the thought process of Tennessee, how big them being the number 1 seed in the bye week. There is talks that Henry will be back.
Well, they're going to need him because statistically, if the Raiders make it in, the Raiders would be the worst statistical team in there if they make it in. But Tennessee is like the second worst AFC team out there right now. So So the numbers look like it's the Bills, the Chiefs, and well, I shouldn't say that. The Bills, and then the Patriots, and then the Chiefs, and then it looks like the Bengals and the Colts are kind of like the same team, and then the Chargers, and then you're looking at the Raiders kind of down the way a little ways.
We'll have plenty of time to go over all of this. As always, it's a pleasure. It's Monday. It was a recap. We actually had some good talk. We thought we would be on the Cleveland Pittsburgh game, but unfortunately, now a meaningless game. Big Ben swan song. A quick little update on LSU, Kansas State, obviously. Again, another Sunday. A card that was filled with landmines. There were a couple that blew up in people's face. Overall, I think the public got blessed on the second half games as the favorites come rolling home, other than the Cardinals, and they got the gift of all gift of the Packers. And I would just throw this out there as well, is Vegas being Vegas, the false steam move late on the Vikings and dropping that number to like 11.5 or 12. And listen, a couple of penalties early there as Minnesota was moving the ball. Game could have been a little different. But I'm going to close with this. If I am a damn defensive coordinator facing Green Bay, it's like when you face Tom, okay? You got to get Tom off his spot. You got to get him happy feet. You got to put pressure on him, okay? Two things to beat the Packers. A, get Aaron Rodgers moving out of the pocket, even though he does that very well. Get him to get the happy feet, the deer in the headlight look. And listen, if the Packers beat me, fine. It's not going to be Devontae Adams. I don't care if I got to double him, blanket him, however it is. Have MVS beat me. Have Lazard beat me. Have Aaron Jones. Have Dylan beat me. It's not going to be Rodgers to Adams. I'm sorry. It's not.
I agree with that. So I just pulled it up real quick and looking at how Football Outsiders grades the offensive lines, and Philadelphia's number 2, Dallas number 3, Rams number 4, Tampa Bay number 5, Green Bay number 6. It's a common theme here, right? All of those teams are in the playoffs. Indianapolis is number 7. So you just go looking at these teams, and they're all right in there. And it's kind of interesting because Cleveland is the number 1 offensive line in football, and they didn't make it. So what does that tell you? Tells me that they got either a poor defense, but I don't think they got the worst defense in football. They might just not have the quarterback that can get them where they need to go, because they have weapons to throw to too. And they have guys that can run the football, and they got the best offensive line, and you can't do anything with it. Look at what Jalen Hurts is doing in Philadelphia. They got the second best offensive line in football, and they're winning games. So I mean, the Browns are probably one of the teams that I would say are underachievers to the point which they have a playoff caliber team and didn't make it.
Happy Monday to all. Happy Monday to all. We got 2 weeks to talk about this. Again, thank you all for watching, listening. Take 2 seconds to jump on over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. Turn on all your notifications. And if you get 2 more seconds, tell a friend. Jump on over to Twitch and do the same. Big things brewing in 2022. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at 20 MLB. I'm sorry, Webby 20 MLB on Twitter as well. Anyone wagering today, tonight, tomorrow? Always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want you here January, February, March 2022, 2023, and beyond. Have a blessed day. Cash some tickets. Always stay in your lane and wager responsibly. Tomorrow morning, special guest, Dave Sharapan, the real Vegas Dave at Sportsbook Consig at Cash Considerations will be joining the Breakfast Bankroll, talking Vegas, talking sports, talking whatever he has on his plate. So look forward to it. Scotty, have an amazing day. Behave yourself. And we will see everyone tomorrow.